So I got my first provisional rating of 1122. This wasn't technically my first tournament though, because I learned to play chess in the Netherlands. I was born in America, San Francisco, but I moved to the Netherlands for a few years for my parents' work, and I learned chess in school there. And I had already sort of got to 1,000, but then I came back to the US and played my first tournament. So, in this, I played this quad, which I vividly remember. And let's see, this was my first tournament. I lost this guy. I won, and I even remember. I remember this game vividly. And in this game, I was playing this girl, and she had a king and an H pawn and an F pawn against my king, and she stalemated me, and I was like very, very happy. So this was sort of the start of my chess career in America, I guess. And since then, you'll see that if you look at the dates, I was playing every single week at least. And then as I started to play even more, I was playing twice a week. And my rating was consistently improving, but again, there were ups and downs, or it wasn't a straight path. Okay? I got up to 1219, then I went down to 1070. Your rating at this level is not always that accurate. And as you see that as I continue to play, I was playing, look, I literally played 3 times in a week, another 3 times in a week, another 3 times in a week, almost 4 times a week. I was playing, tournaments 3 or 4 times a week, basically nonstop. And then within not even 4 months of this, I was thinking, Mom, I want to go to Super Nationals. So I go to Super Nationals after playing chess for 3 months, and I become the 4th grade national champion. So I was playing nonstop. So obviously, I was very lucky to have parents who would basically drive me, wherever, and they were basically driving me everywhere. And I was also lucky to be in California, which had all these chess tournaments. Notice it's the LACC. This is the LA Chess Club. If you go back, I was playing in Fremont. So the Bay Area is an amazing place for chess. But New York is, with the Marshall Chess Club, basically one of the only places playing the quads, is really, really amazing. So if you guys really wanted to, well, some of you guys aren't really old enough to get vaccinated to play the Marshall, but if you are, I personally believe that playing as much chess as possible is really, really important. And I'll show you later on the one thing I improved pretty steadily, and I reached. I didn't have that many plateaus, and I reached 2,000 December 1st. And my first U.S. rated tournament was December 8th. So in less than a year, I went from I reached 2,000.
Less than a year.
So I got there, because I played so much chess. Everything I did was chess, and I really loved it, and I had the ability to play all these tournaments. So, however, you'll notice that I had this plateau around 1800. So here I am, 1700, 18. But this is for me. This was like a 3-month period where I hadn't improved. And for me, 3 months of not getting ratings is like an atrocity at this point. But then you'll sort of notice with me and my pattern that I had breakout tournaments. I had a tournament where I gained 170 points and reached 2,000. And you're going to notice this pattern in a lot of my rating growth, because this was a point where from this was November to July, I was playing and not really gaining much rating, but I was improving a lot as a player and gaining a lot of experience. And although that was not reflected in my rating, I was improving significantly. And it showed finally in this tournament in the American Open, where I believe I got first place in the under 2,000 section. Where I tied for first place, getting 6.5, and it was an amazing tournament. And I sort of had this breakout event, And a lot of you guys, when you're young, are going to have these events. But it's basically you need to sort of weather the storm, you need to push through, and you need to really stick with it and play on a tournament until these happen, right? So I stayed steady, continued to improve. But for me, I just kept on going. I was playing non-stop, I was playing all these tournaments. Look at this, it was in the month of February, I played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 tournaments in 1 month. Question.
What age were at this time?
2014, I would be 10.
10.
No, 11, 10 or 11, yeah. I was born in 2003. So I'm 18 now. So, if you guys want a representation of commitment to chess, this tournament schedule is what it is, right? I mean, and look, you'll speak, you'll notice pattern again. So 2100, right? April. Steady. This is like, maybe it's quite a bit. And then, all the way in December, breakout tournament again, 90 points. Had an insane result. I got first place, was the youngest to ever win this tournament, 7 happened to me, right? This is the Mechanics Chess Club, the oldest chess clubs in America. Might be the oldest, I believe. I'm not totally sure. But you'll notice a pattern of me, regardless of any sort of result, or regardless of whether I was gaining rating for these 7 months, I was playing nonstop. I was investing so much time. I wasn't really doing much, and then eventually, it paid off. And this pattern I could continue going on. But before I do that, I'd like to ask if anyone can relate to the patterns I'm showing here, and if they'd like to speak to their experience or ask questions about it.
I don't have much to add, but I've done similar, like breakout new rate. I think I hit 2200 in 2017, and then 2300 right at the end of 2019. And I don't play as much as you. I don't, tournament every now and then, but it definitely it gets a lot harder the higher you go. The 100 points means a lot more. You already got 2200.
So, I know you guys have your own limitations and you guys have your own commitments, but I just want to give you an example of how much chess you can play if you really wanted to. I believe this is it. And I'll show you. Just saying, if you guys really love chess and you want to get better, I'm going to tell you exactly what to do. So that was my first instinct. So, I'll show you guys the schedule. I'm going to tell you guys what I would do if I was you, and what I did when I was about 20. So the Marshall schedule isn't as great, but I'll tell you what I did. So I would go in. Sometimes they had this Tuesday night marathon on Tuesday. Now they have some online tournament. Then on Thursday I would play the Marshall Action.
You mean Marshall Masters?
Marshall Masters or Tuesday they do it. Then Friday there would be a Blitz tournament or a weekend event. Then on Saturday I play the G50, that's 4 games. And on Sunday I would play the G50 again. So I was playing, a Tuesday night action tournament, I was playing a Thursday night action tournament, and I'd play Friday Blitz. I'd either play 3-day tournament with Marshall, or I'd play Friday Blitz, 2 tournaments, Saturday, Sunday. So that's what I did. And I'll show you guys the improvement. I reached, so you'll notice at the time when I moved to Connecticut, so you can start here, right? So I come and I play the 3-day Grand Prix, then I play the Tuesday action, then I play some G30, then I play Friday night action, then I play the Saturday night quad, then on Sunday, I just played like 5 consecutive tournaments in 1 week. Okay, and I play the Marshall, I play the 100, then I play this, the little team, this Amateur East, I believe, then I play the February Masters, Friday I'm playing, Saturday I'm playing, Marshall 360. The tournaments are literally absolutely endless.
You're not breaking 20 damage. You almost reached it.
And then well, it was close. Then 20 damage isn't that big. It's not a, you don't want to obsess over the ratings too much. Basically, I break through, and I'm continuing to break through. I get stuck, 23. Stuck for a little bit, but I'm playing, and then I have a breakthrough. I'm starting to rise above 2300. And then here, I'm doing well. Breakthrough events, and then I break, to 2400.
Yeah.
So I break the 2400 in 2016, which is 3 years after I played my first year of the tournament. Now, to do that required playing a lot of chess, right? And weathering storms. But this is sort of where my problem began, in my chess career, you could say. And it's very easy to become complacent. Here I was doing really well, but then components was, disastrous right? So, 2016, January, I'm going to go to 2018.
How do you get 20?
I'm like 20, so I gained 30 points in the span of like 2.5 years. However, I was improving in those years. And I started to break through. Suddenly, I pulled a US Masters Championship. And I'm like thinking I want to quit chess. But then look what happened. I'm all the way down here.
Jeffrey's all the way up there.
But, in this tournament I had 5 points, right? But I got a GM norm. Everyone know what a norm is?
Yeah, he does.
So I got a GM norm with 5 points. No, I did that? Let's look at who I played. Let's look at number 12. 2665 GM.
You can just look on the side of it.
Where's
Number 35.
No. 88. Akshay Chandra, GM. 23. GM. 24. GM, 2600. Lose the 5. GM, 2640. Nine, 2700 I drew.
Drew?
18. 2650 drew. Last game I lost on the Grandmaster. So it looked like through these 2.5 years, almost 3 years, that I was stuck and that I wasn't improving at all. And that to most people, my talents had sort of evaporated and I wasn't continuing. However, I stuck with it. I got my second international master norm here, my first grandmaster norm, and then here, I got my last norm and became an international master in 2018. So it was like 6 years to get. Should have been faster, but no, not bad. And then I sort of break through it. Suddenly, in the span of months, I'm jumping to like 2550. So I suddenly go from some FM who is really struggling to a GM level player. And me reaching GM was only sort of a matter of circumstances coming together and things going well. So again, I'm stuck at 2550. I even have a rough event drop below 25. But as soon as things look like they're going amazing at 2550, I go to the Premier, I do terrible. I gain a bit. Then I go to World Open, I lose like 40 points. Have a terrible event. US Junior Champs, have a terrible event. And as soon as I think I'm making progress in chess, I have a year and a summer that's just terrible, right? I go to the World Youth Championship, and I'm leading the World Youth Championship with a full point with 3 games to go. And I didn't win first place. So, I faced so many, gut-wrenching results, but I kept on pushing, kept on playing, and then I won the Marshall Championship. and I got my second GM norm. And this event was especially tough. It really is a tie, but basically, you know, I even lost the first game, and I come back to score in the next 6 games, 5.5 out of 6 against all grandmasters, basically. So, you know, although it looked like I wasn't improving, I had to break through it. And then, COVID sort of happened. I'm training, staying second of it, and then COVID hits, right?
Yep.
And I'm like 25, 50, but I'm training really hard. You know, I have all my time in my hands for chess. I start streaming, and I come back to my first over-the-board event, and I make my last GM norm and become, Grandmaster elect. The rating is all that was left. But then look at this. Even after I have the event of my life, I go to the Spice Cup thinking I'm going to become Grandmaster, and I lose all the ratings back. So in order to weather these storms, for me, I'm so invested in these games, and it really, hurts mentally, and it's so tough to go through these things. But now I've reached a point where I've gone through so many disappointments and failures to where I can handle whatever result, and the results really don't affect me. So I have this terrible event, and I'm like, oh my God, this is the worst thing that ever happened to me. I thought I was going to go here, become a Grandmaster. Then I sort of recalibrate, study really hard. I play next tournament. I do well, I get some points. And then I start playing this online classical event that I did really well on. For example, this was an online event I played, and I started to show that I was ready to become a strong GM. So in these 7 games, I beat 34s, 2000, 19, again, so then I lose to this 2600, right? I'm like, this is terrible, I'm going to withdraw. And then I beat some 2100, and then this is where the real sort of breakthrough of my strength comes, and I beat a very strong Grandmaster convincingly, I beat another Grandmaster, and then I beat another Grandmaster. And although this was an online classical event, to show that if I kept on going and pushing, anything was possible. So I continued playing these online events, and then I finally went over the board again to Texas. And this was sort of the really rough part of COVID. So finding tournaments in the U.S. where being feeder rating were nearly impossible. So I played another event against a rating, and I'm on the heels of 2100 becoming a Master. And then I make a very, very big decision to travel to Europe. Now, I think that was a decision that really embodies what I'm trying to teach here. Okay, sorry, question.
In the last tournament,
Sorry?
in the last tournament, you beat Harry off in the second. I thought I saw that.
No, different.
That's a, no. Sergey Ehrenberg. Different Sergey. So during COVID, I wasn't going to let COVID stop me from playing chess. So I basically, left, and I said, I'm going to Europe, and I played in the Sunway Citrus Festival in Spain. And I felt really confident in all these online events that I was playing so well, and I really wanted the chance to also, let me show this as a big breakthrough. Before I left to Europe, I played this tournament, and I beat a really strong player, so I started out well. I beat this GM, then I beat another GM, he's not a GM, and I beat this Gadir Gusanov, who's like number 8 in the world, and I was crushing it. I felt really confident. I felt like I had the confidence to be on par with these top GMs. Again, I sort of had a stagnation. Here comes the great breakthrough. And since then, I've been basically unstoppable, but again, another plateau hit, right? So I come to Europe, I gain all these points. I'm like 26, 25, doing amazing. Then look what happens. In February, 26, 12, I get all the way down to like 25, 77. I have 2 months in Europe, I'm traveling Europe, it's COVID, I got like 10 COVID tests in the span of 6 months. And it was honestly miserable. And at this point, at 25-7, I was probably the most depressed, unmotivated. Like it was really when chess is your whole life, guys, and you've reached this level, you take it very seriously. So I sort of reached a plateau, but then you can sort of see what happened after that. I played a tournament, I did well, then I gained 30 points, then I gained another 10 points, then I gained 20 points here, and then basically I just skyrocketed to 2700, 2570, and I haven't lost. I haven't really had a bad tournament since then. So now I'm at a point where I've learned so much from all these games that I played in Europe. I've really learned how to sort of have my love for chess be the motivating factor, because when I lose a game, which thankfully happens very rarely now, it's usually, or in the past, was a very difficult thing for me to deal with mentally, and it was just sort of difficult for me to recover sometimes. But now I've reached the point where the results are only sort of part of the journey, and I have full belief in myself to reach 2700 and the top of elite chess, right? I believe that in a few years I'll be at the top, and regardless if I lose one game, I don't win a game, I think I'm gonna get there regardless, and that's sort of how you have to think about it, to not obsess over every little result. So yeah, now I just crossed 2700, and I'm one of the top in America, one of the top juniors in the world, and now I'm continuing on a very competitive path. I think you'll notice that there are so many points throughout the journey, throughout my chess career, that I could have just simply quit. And I think a lot of people would have quit. One of the biggest points was maybe when I was 1800 and I was struggling to break through 2000. I was really competitive water polo player. I was super athletic. I was really competitive, and I sort of stopped doing sports. Maybe my parents would have said to me, Hans, you need to socialize more. You need to play. You need to get back into sports. Chess takes too much time. And maybe at 1800 I would stop playing something, and I would never become a grandmaster. Maybe at 2400, when I was stuck at 2400 for 2.5 years, I would say, okay, I'm going to go to college. I can't do this. I can't take 3 years of playing chess and not improving, and not gaining rating. I wouldn't say I'm improving. I can't take it. And then even during the pandemic, I could say, well, I'm not going to be a grandmaster. I have school. I'd say, okay, I'm done. I'm going to college. Even during the pandemic, I could have said, I had a very, very successful streaming career. I was making a lot of money. I had all this, fame, but I could have said, okay, I want to be a streamer. I want to do all this, but you guys need to realize that if chess is what's important to you, you need to do that, right? So there's so many moments where it's so many better options, and so much that was taking me away from chess. But I've sort of found my way back and had a lot of success recently, and that's because I really am enjoying what I'm doing, and I'm really passionate about it. And when I sit on the board, I just know that I want to play more than them. So recently we can look at some of the events. I put